everyone, and welcome to the first day of May. I'm so excited. It is 31 days, and I feel like I get a bonus day because there's 31 days, even though it's not really a bonus day. But either way, I'm always excited by a new month, a new day, a new hour. I don't know. It just like helps you to say, I don't know what happened before, but it doesn't matter. It's in the past. I'm going to start all over again. So I hope everyone's very excited about May. So I always try to put together a list of things that like make May better, I guess. So summertime is almost here. Although I'm not a big fan of summer, but everybody else loves summer. So I feel like the whole world is just a little happier and in a better mood because it's summertime. I do love flowers. And actually the weather, I'm so pleasantly surprised. It is still very mild here in San Diego, which is the number one reason I moved here. It's in the 60s, which is like my ideal weather because anything, as soon as we get into 70s, I'm like, oh, it's too hot. I'm like sweating. So I'm just a wimp for heat, but I'm also a wimp for extreme cold. So it's not like I want to be in Minneapolis or Chicago where I was freezing before. So it's also Asian Heritage Month, which I know you're like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. Like growing up, other than knowing that I was Asian because I could look in the mirror, I really didn't know what that meant. And there wasn't the internet when I was growing up. So anyways, here are some ideas if you wanted to try to celebrate Asian Heritage Month. Get takeout. How easy is that? You could watch a K-drama, you could listen to a K-pop song, and you could look up your lunar year of birth, which I know most of us are into the regular astrology by the month, but there's also the lunar like year thing. So I'm the year of the tiger, and then you can read all about those if you wanted something to look up. So that's kind of, I guess that's all I got for that. Let's see. I have a lot of slides today, so fair warning. I think because I'm not on social media as much, I just have like a lot of things to say. Or maybe it's just me. I just have a lot of things to say all the time, every month. Did you know, because I was looking up fun facts for May, I did not, and I don't own a lawn or a yard, but it's No Mow May, which makes sense. I guess it helps the bees, which I'm not really into the environment, but lately because of climate change and global warming, I'm like, we should try to do something to help keep the heat down. And I guess if you don't mow your lawn for May, it helps the bees and the birds and the pollen. So yeah. So, and then it's less work for you as well. So there's that. So there's a new workbook. I'm so proud of myself. It's the first time like I've actually done the workbook ahead of time in quite a long time. But I did shift some priorities around in my day. So we'll talk about that too. And then also I always put together, there is a back sheet. And for today, there is a special workbook on making a vision board. So we're going to talk about that. You can actually get that below. Even if you're not in Planner Pixies, that workbook is free to everybody. But only the regular main 50-page workbook is available to Planner Pixies. So let's get into today. So the only thing that changed, so we always do like what happened last month, what's happening next month, what you kind of want to declare as your one word and your goal. The only thing new I added, you can see, is the vision workbook. So when we talk about the goal, we'll talk about that because I really think it'll help you to not only complete your goal, but be like excited about your goal, right? So it's hard sometimes to like, you can only read so many like motivational quotes. So yeah, I think you need to be like intrinsically like excited just on your own internally about your goal and what you're trying to do. So let's talk about the last month. Now I did do a mid-month check-in, so hopefully that helped. And for this month that we're in, for May, I'm going to do Monday. I'm bringing back Monday motivation. One, I'm not on social media, so there's not as much to like for me to post. And then also, I think that'll help because for some reason I just have a lot of things to talk about lately. So we'll just do Monday motivations again, and hopefully that'll help you plan out your week. So as you know, I use the time tracking app to track. I highly recommend this. This has been like the biggest productivity boost that I've ever had, is just tracking what I'm doing and how long I spend on things. So for this month, I am pleasantly surprised and happy to report that I actually worked more this month than I did the past month. And I am 100% not one of those people. You'll never hear me saying, oh, you need to work less. I think the 4-hour work week is total BS. I don't think, I know there's like this obsession with passive income. And, yes, I have digital downloads, but the reason I have digital downloads instead of doing service-based work is just because my personality, I'm just not cut out for it. I'm like not made for it. So if it was service-based work where I was doing administrative tasks, right? Like you have a list, like a database, and you need me to go through it and send things out or check things off a list. I can do that and I would be actually very good at that. But most of those things can be automated and there are AI tools that can do it faster and better than I could anyway. But so just doing design work is too, I wouldn't say stressful. It's just not my thing, right? So what was my point? Oh, my point was just that I've had a productive month. I'm not buying into the whole like, let's be lazy and work less and just brag about that we made $1 million doing nothing in our sleep. Anyways, I did increase my work time by 90 minutes per day. And we'll talk about like different theories on why I think that. I mean, I have different theories and different things I tried out this month. But the number one biggest thing that you'll notice on this chart is that blue sliver there at the top left is my day job. And so I've shifted things around. So I'm basically just not doing that anymore. It's kind of a secret. I haven't really told anyone, mostly because for the last year, it's been a year and a half now. I think I started working in October of 2022. And like every month I'm like barely skimming by because I'm doing so much for the day job. And so it's just been really hard to balance those. And I know some people do it really well, but I think when both of those are work from home jobs, it makes it more difficult versus like, honestly, if I had like a 9-to-1 job where I was like a Starbucks barista, right? Like that would be easier because like when you clock in and clock out for one of those jobs, like you don't take it with you. I'm not like thinking about somebody's order later and I'm just making this up because I've never worked at Starbucks, but I would imagine this is how it is. Versus when you have a more of a corporate exempt job, you're just thinking about it all the time and people are calling 24/7. And because they were a startup and I'm like a startup kind of environment, it's just being on call all the time. So it's also partly due to my anxiety too. I'm just trying to lower the number of things where I'm just like on call 24/7 and just worried all the time that like something has fallen through. So I think that has just helped to like help me be more relaxed and do stuff. And that was even with, I almost got the flu like twice this month. It actually worked. So you know how they say to take Zicam? I did emergencies. I like ate a bunch of citrus fruit and then just slept a lot. So I felt sick for only like 2-3 days. And then they went away both times. And the thing that I did differently this time was, one, I tried using Zicam like more aggressively. Like I got the nasal spray instead of the one that you swab through your nose. I don't know. For some reason, I think it just helped a little. And then also I slept instead of watching TV during my downtime. So like before when I didn't do work, I was like, oh, I'll just sit on the couch and watch some movies. But this time I was like, no, you know what? I will just turn off all stimuli like the TV, reading a book, audiobook, or anything else, or talking on the phone. And I will just be silent and be bored. And I think that a huge part of, I don't know, maybe my anxiety, I still think it's perimenopause, but I think a lot of just today and feeling overwhelmed is just nobody's bored anymore. Like, can you remember the last time you just sat around and did nothing, right? And you were waiting for something and there was nothing to look at, like a magazine. There was no one to talk to because before, back in the dark ages, we didn't have cell phones, right? And you were just there with your own thoughts, right? So I just haven't been with my own thoughts in like quite a while. Anyways, so for May, I thought we could do some spring cleaning. So when I say spring cleaning, I have a tiny studio, so there's really not much to clean. I just meant let's spring clean some of your recurring charges and make sure, this is a good reminder to go through your list, make sure everything's up to date. This is the number one reason I use ClickUp, but I also put it in Google Calendar too. So I have 2 reminders just in case, and I think that's fine. And anything that's a lifetime purchase, I like made a list because there's some things that I paid for a lifetime purchase and I don't even remember that I bought them or how to utilize them. The second thing is annual renewals and monthly renewals. So I have all of those reminders going to me, whether it's software or a membership or coaching or something else. So I went through all of them. I fell for, so Tastemade had a free membership for whatever this is, November to June, for Walmart Plus. And I thought like, okay, well, I'm trying to eat healthier. Maybe it's just the recipes I have aren't good enough or anything. It's not that. It's just me. I don't, as you know, I've complained about this a lot. I just don't enjoy cooking. And I dread it. And so even with this Tastemade membership, even though it's only, I know what you're thinking, it's like $5.99 a month. It doesn't matter because I'll never use it. Same thing with Delish. I didn't cook a single meal and I paid, same thing. I was like, well, this is even cheaper. It's only $15 for the year. And it seems like such a great deal at the time, but again, I never used it. So what's it matter? Metricool, I signed up in, I think just a couple months ago. I was so excited. I was like, I'm totally going to go on TikTok and do Instagram stories and all this stuff. And I decided it was draining. So I paid the whole year up front. Which is fine. I, in theory, got a deal. So since I'm quitting social media, I just made sure to turn off. That was an annual subscription, but I still made sure to turn it off because, you know, a year is going to come and go really fast. And I guarantee you, I'm not thinking about the Metricool renewal and I might accidentally let it renew. So I turned that off. Same thing with Opus Clip. So Opus Clip, actually, I found this very useful. But Opus Clip lets you take any content, whether it's wide or vertical, and then it will chop it up for you into segments, 1 minute, 2 minute. It just guesses. It's like an AI tool. But same thing with this. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't let it renew. It's only $119 a year, so I made sure to cancel that. The next thing is Bluehost. So Bluehost, I'm moving everything, and I know I've been talking about it forever, but I'm moving everything from Bluehost to Squarespace. And so Bluehost was actually, it's a great deal. It was only $820.44 for a 3-year term of hosting. And if you've never had Bluehost, if you ask for, I think they even have 5-year terms. The longer your term is, just like I guess an apartment rental, the cheaper the price becomes each year. The only problem with Bluehost is that they will put you for that price point on a server with a ton of other people, which, you know, you expect. You don't have your own dedicated server. However, it's going to slow down your response time. So when you are on, I mean, the gold standard for, if you're going to go with WordPress, you want to do all your hosting on WP Engine. That's all they do is WordPress. They're experts at it. They do so much great customer service for technical support with helping you to troubleshoot things that it's worth its weight in gold. Now, the difference is with this $820.44, which is like $274 per year, I can put 100 websites on Bluehost and they will never charge me extra for hosting another website. With WP Engine, it comes out to the equivalent of like 120 or 150 a year. There are deals if you buy more websites, but pretty much you are paying per site. So every time you add a site or do a test site, and I know they have staging, it's just going to cost you more and more money. So I just went ahead and canceled it. Now this is probably the only thing where I'm not saving money. It is more expensive to go to Squarespace than it is to do WP Engine or Bluehost. But for me, the customer service, again, just having everything in one place. And I do, now that I'm finally getting into it, I do like the original reason I wanted to switch is still there. I think the interface is better. It's easier to use, and customer technical support is super wonderful. So that's one decision. Podia, I canceled Podia. So I said I was going to cancel Podia. I don't know if anyone remembers, like 3 years ago, because I moved to Thrivecart Learn. But I was just really hesitant to let go of it. And this was like my toughest decision. One, Podia is so nice and they were so supportive when I was first starting out. And they're actually always making improvements to this platform where I think it is definitely worth looking at. And if I were to start over again, I would go with Podia possibly instead of Thrivecart Learn. Now, it is expensive. My only worry is that because every time they make an update or a change, it seems like it's going to be free or included. But like the email was great. Like even my deliverability for email in Podia, I'll have like, and who knows if it's like correct, but it'll say it has like an 80% open rate. And my open rates for Flowdesk are only like 20 or 30%. It's like a huge difference. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll just move all of my email to Podia. Well, then all of a sudden they were like, you know what, we're going to charge you for email and it's per user. So then it became really expensive. So I worry that the longer I stay with Podia and the more I enjoy the features that they have, the more that they're going to just say, oh, hey, we're going to just charge you for that feature that you really like. So I still think it's a good time to break away from Podia. SiriusXM, I actually kept this. Now, this was interesting, and I know you can do this sometimes when you call a place and then you say you're going to quit and then they offer you something lower. And I don't need SiriusXM. Like, let's be real. I'm in San Diego. There's plenty of like regular radio stations, and because of my anxiety, I don't actually drive a lot. I'm not like, and I don't commute for work. So do I really need this? I do not. So after the free 6 months ended, and again, that was like a deal I got through Walmart Plus, I called to cancel and they were like, hey, why don't we just downgrade you to $4.99 per month? And I was like, well, all right. Because this is actually, unlike the recipe memberships, this is actually something I would still use every day. So yeah. Oh, Karen, did you ever try ConvertKit? I did. I don't know why. I passionately dislike and hate ConvertKit. I know that sounds like pretty harsh. I don't know why. I couldn't stand it, and I pretty much, I think hate is the right word for ConvertKit. And if you ask me why, I can't remember, but it was like limited functionality, and it didn't do all the things I wanted it to do, and it felt a little clunky. But yeah, 100% I am anti-ConvertKit. I think I was on it for like a week. All right. SiriusXM. So I really like this guy. I don't know who he is. So this guy, Shane, something like that, he has a anxiety recovery membership. And you know me, I like usually never join any memberships. I don't have any, but he had a one-on-one like anxiety coaching. It was something ridiculous, like $5,000 or $6,000 a month. And I was like, yeah, I can't afford $5,000 or $6,000 a month for an anxiety coach. But he took a lot of his materials and he put them into a online course, which I actually like. It's nice to listen to the lectures and just have other people around that you can ask questions to. So I just went ahead. I did like, they had like a 1 month trial, but I went ahead and decided to just renew it and just keep it. Now this is a monthly membership. It's $47 per month. So we'll just see how it goes by the end of the summer, and then I'll reassess again. I love Kimberly Ann Jimenez. So she has the Business Lounge. It is really the only thing that I've ever, it's like how I learned how to start a business when I was first starting back in 2016 or 2015 or whenever she started this. It is totally worth it. It's like I know a lot of people like Marie Forleo's Business School. And I've seen it. Yeah, someone gave me their illegal login and I looked in at it. And I just thought it was so fluffy. And I feel like that honestly about a lot of people who teach you how to start a business. They're full of just mindset BS where I'm like, okay, great. So I'm excited now and I'm in a positive mindset, but how do I actually do it? Like, and that's pretty much the reason I started my channel. Like I always say, I teach you what to click and where to go because I felt like I wasn't getting any real direction. Now, a lot of her tech tutorials are outdated, but she, if you ask a question, because her brother works for her full time as the tech person, someone will get you an answer. And I really just like her and her husband run the Business Lounge together now. I think she started it by herself. And every time I've ever asked a question, I've gotten real advice and help, and I can't say anything more positive about her because all I can think about is like good memories and like how helpful she was, and it's very useful. Like there's courses in there on how to start a YouTube channel, how to start a podcast, how to start a blog, how to create your website, how to do your mailing list, right? Like she actually goes through all of the steps that you need to do all of those things. So yes, I did renew that membership. But yeah, I did not sign up for a lifetime. But I mean, I guess if you sign up and you really like it, you could think about doing lifetime. So that was a spring cleaning of all of my like monthly memberships and annual memberships. So what did I do for April for videos? So for the Pretty Fabulous channel, I did, I guess, 3 live streams. That was it. The plan with me is the mid-month. I did an interview with Brenda, who is so when I say a Canva expert, I didn't realize this either when I interviewed her. She's not a designer, but she is a professional organizer. That is her past history. And she's excellent at teaching you how to use Canva to just organize your files and organize your workflows. So it's a very different type of tutorial that you would get from her. She's not going to show you how to make a logo or design stuff, right? She's just going to tell you how to keep your Canva organized, which I do think is important. So we talked about that. I think the biggest takeaway from that was that Canva's having a supposed, I'll talk about this later, update on May 23rd. And so she was saying she couldn't tell us what was in there, but she said she's going to have to make a lot of updates to her course after May 23rd. So if you're trying to learn Canva, I would say just hold off until whenever those updates are made. And then I posted a bunch of unboxing videos that I had sitting around for card decks. And then I did 2 secret videos. I know secret videos are finally back. This is why it's like nice to have some of my own time. I did a wrap up for you on the Cozy Club Getaway. If you haven't watched that, I actually shared all the actual numbers, like how much we made, how much it cost us, what we spent money on. And then also did a book summary of Finish. I really like this book because it was all about just finishing a goal to get yourself momentum versus like just a bunch of rah-rah speech about how to make goals and achieve them. And then on the Lisa Seifert Cozy Mystery channel, so I talked about this mid-month, I shifted all the videos over. So super happy that's done from Lisa London. So now I just have one channel because remember I'm trying to simplify everything. And so I did 8 live streams last month. I didn't think it was that much, but I had it up. It was a lot of live streams. And I only posted 1 video. It was like the April new releases. So same thing this month. I posted 1 new video for May. Cozy Club Getaway, done. Now, if you want to attend the Cozy Club Getaway in 2025, you can still sign up on the mailing list. It's just that Molly will be running it solo. And I talked about this a lot. I'm not going to do in-person events anymore ever again. So it's just kind of like doing one-on-one work. I didn't hate it. I'm so glad Molly was there. She loved it and thrived off of it. To me, it was not the best use of my time or energy to do that. Paper. I'm so excited. So I got some new pens. I know they were pens that write on black paper. So if you've never written on black paper, I would say try it out to see if you like it, because I really do. In fact, I liked it so much I bought a bunch of Post-its that are black. So they're all black Post-its, and I use my my pens. I have gold, silver, white. Those seem to write the best on there. If you try to write on these with like a blue or a pink, I have another video on like all the best pens for writing on black paper. Those actually, I tried them out recently. They all dried out. I mean, it's been like a few months since I've used the black paper, but I think these liquid marker things dry out really fast. So anyways, this made me think too, because I was trying to do digital only just to have less stuff and clutter around. But I think it's kind of like, I don't really like digital only. Like in theory I do, sometimes it's useful. And then other times I'm like, you know what? I really just like the feedback from writing on a piece of paper. And I don't know if anyone ever, this is the best show. It's like one of my favorite TV shows. But on Fringe, there was in season 3, Olivia goes to this alternate universe. And over there, nobody has ever heard of a pencil or a pen. So it causes this catastrophic accident because people see this pencil on the ground and they're all like, what is that? Like they've never seen this. Anyways, that is my story about pens and digital only. So, podcast status update. So let's talk about the podcast. I have decided after starting 4 podcasts in January, it's May, right? So I feel like I've given this 4 good months of trying. I'm quitting all of the podcasts except for 1. And to say I'm quitting the podcast just means I'm going to quit like actively trying to create content for any of these. 1, because it takes up time that I could create content just for 1 place instead of 4 different places. And 2, the other ones just aren't as popular. So really nobody's looking for this. Nobody cares. So the only thing I'm sticking with is the Cozy Mystery Mingle. And even then, I'm going to actually take a break for the summer. And then the rest of them, I will still keep posting to plan with me. And as far as doing interviews with people, I'm going to I really like the interview I did with Michelle Rohr. She was talking about her digital magazine. And she's like, I don't have a schedule. I don't like promise people it's going to be some certain frequency. She's like, I just got to do it if I feel like it. And I kind of feel like that's going to be the best thing for me for these interviews. If I feel like it and there's someone really interesting I'd love to talk to, I'll schedule a podcast interview. But if not, I'll just pass. Like, I don't want the pressure to like have to schedule these, because doing 8 live streams for April was actually a lot of work. But it was work that I loved, but it was still work, you know? So this is time, and it's time that I could be spending on something else. So, and then all the other ones are just never grew. They weren't popular. So we're just going to forget about them. So that's what's happening with that. Podcast summary. So I'm super excited. So the Cozy Mystery Mingle is done on the website. It's the Squarespace site. I know it took me forever, but it's done. And if you go to the website, that's what the landing page looks like. But I think I just want to, like I said, I love doing them, but I just want to make sure, and I've never complained about burnout, but I just want to make sure I don't set myself up to where I hate having to do the interviews. And I still am excited about doing those and love doing those. So first of all, there's less new releases in the summertime for Cozy Mysteries. I don't know why. Maybe they just figure everyone's out and about and wanting to read summer romances on the beach. And so really there's less books coming out. And, you know, I was getting kind of angry at there were some authors, and, you know, I get it. Not everybody likes being on camera, and they get freaked out by it. And, you know, I thought it would be better because of COVID. Like, everyone was kind of used to doing a video. But I had some authors just cancel on me at the last minute, which I was kind of like, you know, I spent all this time making the thumbnails, reading their books to write good questions, and scheduling and teaching them how to like do the video. And so that always happens. Like, people just cancel all the time. Like, it's just natural or normal. And instead of me like with this back-to-back crazy schedule, I like was getting upset about it. So I think just taking a step back, not doing as much. I only have 2 author interviews scheduled for May, one tomorrow that I have had scheduled for a while, and then I scheduled a second one, and then that's pretty much it. And then June, I'm super excited to announce, Courtney and I are having a reunion. So if you remember, like 3 or 4 years ago, Courtney and I did the Cozy Escape Book Club. And, you know, it was just a lot of work to do that every single month. And so I was like, you know, I'm just going to quit. And Courtney just ran it on her own, which is great. She's doing awesome. And, but I do miss it. So I was having some nostalgia. So I wrote to her and I was like, can we do a summer reunion? And we both are huge Janet Evanovich fans. In fact, for like our first Christmas, after we like became friends, she sent me a Janet Evanovich book, which I absolutely love. So I have, there's this new series that Janet Evanovich has. It's called the Gabriella Rose series or whatever. And so this is just a spin-off from the Stephanie Plum series. So the second book comes out in June. So we were going to do 2 book clubs. So the first one is going to be on July 12th, and that's during the day because our kids are in daycare or whatever. And that's going to be at noon Central Standard Time. And we're going to do a book club chat about the first book, The Recovery Agent. And then we're also giving away 2 books during that giveaway, I think. I need to confirm with her. But we're going to give away 2 books for The King's Ransom. And then that book comes out June 1st. And then we'll do a book club chat about that book on July 10th. So very excited to do book clubs with Courtney again. All right, we are into May. I know, can you believe, if you look at this visually, we're almost at the midpoint of the year. So let's talk about how to make goals. So I've talked about the Lisa method. You'll have to go back to January for that. The speedy goals process. And now I'm adding the vision board. So again, just more tools. And it's more just not like you have to do all of them, but hopefully some of them or one of them or parts of them resonate with you to like help get you like some momentum in moving forward. So again, you can see this is an old schedule that I had, but I'm still hopeful to make all of these planners. And you should do the same thing, and then feel free to move your goals around. So very excited. Lisa Seifert is done. Yay. So the next thing I'm going to do is Pretty Fabulous. So I was saying last month, like, the site is broken. There are broken links. They've been broken for a while. I'm not going to freak out about it. But this month, especially now that I've like really fixed the Lisa Seifert site, I'm excited to fix the Pretty Fabulous site, and I think it'll be much faster. So the planners, I said I was going to do the 2025 planners. I did. They're done. So everything for Canva has been proofread and it is posted. So if you go into Thrivecart right now, and any single dated planner that had a Canva link, remember, not all of them could, because Canva has limitations on size and elements and other stupid rules. But if it could be done and you had a 2024 planner, there is now a 2025 link inside of Thrivecart. Those are done. The InDesign templates, I say almost done because they are done. I didn't finish all of the covers for those. The Canva ones all have new covers. I did use some of the elements inside Canva. So those were like actually faster and easier to make new covers for. The InDesign templates, some of the covers aren't done and they're not all proofread. Canva is 100% proofread. It's totally fine. So that's what's happening. So all of that hopefully should happen before we do our Motivation Monday next Monday. I can report to you everything is done. All right, so now let's talk about the new addition to the agenda, which is the Vision Workbook. And yes, I have a lot more slides. Today's going to be very chatty. If you recall, during the January 2024 annual planning session, I did 2 sessions. I did one here on Pretty Fabulous, and I did another one over on the Lisa Seifert channel with Molly. And Molly and I both made vision boards for the year. And I put a lot of stuff there. She put a lot of stuff there. And I guess here's what happened. One, I totally forgot about this vision board. I had to dig it up out of somewhere. And yes, I could have posted it on my wall, but I didn't. And I've accomplished one thing, which is the writing retreat. And that's only because it was scheduled and there was no way not to accomplish it. So I feel like, does that really count? I don't think so. So let's just talk about what I think is wrong with vision boards in general. One, I think the first problem is, I think all of these templates set you up for failure because there's so much peer pressure to have a huge cornucopia of a million different things you want to do. And it goes back to the same reason why I left social media. I think vision boards try to force you to create this perfect idealistic life, and there should be so many things filled in with so much perfect stuff going on. And I think it's just too much stuff, right? So if you've never heard Jim Collins, I actually love him. And the sad thing is he has a lot of great business books, but they're good for corporations. They're not necessarily, they don't apply to me, to an individual person. As a speaker, though, as a person, if you can ever see a conference, and I think he mostly just speaks at corporate conferences, and you have the chance to hear Jim Collins speak, he's amazing. But he always says, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. And before you get excited, this does not mean, hey, it's okay to make 3 goals. That's not at all what he's saying. He was saying that you really can only have 1 goal. So here's what I think a realistic set of priorities are for people. If you can only have 3, I think your first one is almost always your family. Obviously, mine is limited to Lucky. The second thing is health, because if you don't prioritize your health will prioritize itself for you in the form of making you sick with the flu. All of a sudden, you can't do anything because you're down and out. And then the third priority is your goal for the month or your week or the day or whatever it is. And I think this is a more realistic snapshot of the 3 priorities that you have in life. So for me, like family, Lucky had to start a new round of antibiotics. So even though I was doing stuff, I would say I'm not as efficient. I did do more work because I was sitting on the couch more, but Lucky, whenever he has this cone on, he's upset, he's sad, he needs to be held. So he can't stand being, without me. He's throwing up a lot. He has diarrhea. There's all these things. And I'm sure if you're a mom, you have to take care of those things. And I know it's different for a kid than it is for a cat, but I can only use one arm at a time. And he really likes it when I hold his paw, just holding it, like holding his hand. So I feel like I'm kind of like the mom I'm taught, right? Like I hear moms complain all the time. In fact, there was a copywriter that was saying, if I can't do something with my thumb and the phone, then it's not a good website, right? She's like, I have to be able to hold a baby in one hand and the phone in the other, and do everything with one hand. And it's kind of like this below. I can't really do anything because I have to hold the cat with one hand and then do stuff with the other. The other thing that I think is wrong with vision boards is they kind of, if you ever listen to anyone talk about vision boards, there is this, I want to say this fake, ridiculous, rah-rah speech to like, reach higher, do more. And, that famous phrase, if your goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough, right? And I think that's just stupid. And so, it forces you to think about things that are impossible. Like, I'm just going to dream. I've heard this, I saw all these people dreaming about winning the lottery, and they have like this whole thing where like you can manifest it by dreaming it. And it's just, I did a double eye roll, right? And it like promotes this whole getting something for nothing with the whole like gambling and wanting to like go big. And I think that's just a little silly, right? So it'll tell you like maybe your goal, a doable goal is I want to save up so my family can go on a cruise. But instead, someone's like, you know what? That's not big enough. You should dream about owning your own yacht. Or maybe you should just dream about owning your own private island and then starting your own country, right? So that's kind of like what I feel is happening with the pressure to make these big, huge, fanciful goals. And then you have this stat that says 92% of people fail at goals. Well, yeah, duh, because you're making these ridiculous goals that maybe you don't even want, are gonna like so long-term or so like out of scope, but they just sound impressive. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with mini goals, micro goals. And it's almost like we've all been shamed into having a micro goal. Like people will be like, oh, that is just a to-do list item. If you can check it off a to-do list, then it's not a goal. Well, you know what? There's a lot of things on my to-do list that don't get checked off. So I don't know that it's really that easy. So if you remember, I talked about this book, which I really liked, for just, he was like, just do one push-up a day. Okay, just walk for like 1 minute, right? It was like so small and it seems silly, but if you did it, then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I feel so much better about myself. Like I finally did it, right? And so I think the same thing could apply to goals as well. So think about making micro goals instead of macro goals to get things done. And then also I think the third thing it does is it doesn't really address mindset, and not like in a bad way, like over the top. Like I said, Marie Forleo's business school was just a little too much about mindset. And especially there's a lot of coaches out there, and for some reason they just talk about mindset and nothing else. But this is who I get my advice from, Dr. Seuss. So he's always saying, if you can you have your own brain, you have your own feet, your own legs, arms, you can just do whatever you want. You're the one that's putting yourself on the path that you're on. And I think a lot of times too, you just have to stop yourself from the negative self-talk. So I do it. It's not even like, because sometimes they'll say, oh, you're saying I'm never going to make that goal. It's more sometimes just about like theories in life. So like I was trying to list out, what do I do negative self-talk about? So I always like to say, and it's almost like for comedic effect, I'll say, oh, I always come in last. I always have to learn things the hard way. I can't just learn that. I have to learn them by failing. Or I'm a loser magnet when it comes to dating, or I have the worst luck, or if it's going to break on someone, it's going to break on me, right? So it goes back to like almost the fact where I'm excited to say Murphy's Law applies to me, and I don't know why. And, it's not that bad things are never going to happen, but you should just try to put yourself in a more positive mindset. And not because I think everyone has to be super positive, optimistic all the time, but they actually have done studies where you get more things done when you're feeling more hopeful and you're not spending so much time. It like activates different parts of your brain whenever you think about something negative or whenever you complain. So if you can like stop yourself from ever complaining, in theory, you will never be activating those parts of the brain, which, I know sometimes you're like, oh, it feels so good to like just complain or, get this off my chest. And not saying you can't, but, just remember that that's going to light up different parts of your brain, and just see if you really do get that much of a benefit from it. So I also think, like, so after all these problems, so what's the solution? I really think the solution is the action board. I don't know if anyone remembers, I made this a long time ago. It was just like an extra template. So if you're inside of Planner Pixies, I put a reminder link for you inside of today's, like this month's notes, is you can change this around to whatever you want. You can change the colors, you can change everything else. For everybody else, I included it in the vision workbook, so you can just fill it out. But this was my example of how to get towards my actions for making my Squarespace website. And, you know, I also created a mood board around my goal. And maybe this doesn't apply to everybody, but just seeing something pretty kind of like helps. And it's all going towards one goal versus like me thinking about 10 different websites I want to make. So, and same thing with a logo board. So maybe whatever you're creating has a logo that goes with it, or maybe you just like, I just like making logos. They like make me happy. And I'm going back to basics. So I don't know if you noticed, I had changed the tagline to gorgeous solutions to help you make money. And I think I got all wrapped up into a lot of people talking about digital products. They're like, there's like a dime a dozen, and I get it. The YouTube algorithm rewards you because everyone's looking for, how do I make a digital product? And to me, this is just a lot of fluffy advice. Again, telling you to just do this or do that or try this, and without actually telling you how to do it. So I'm going back to basics, and I'm changing my tagline back to whatever it originally was, your Adobe InDesign BFF. And, you know, when you think about the different comparable softwares, Adobe, Affinity, and Canva, I actually never bothered to learn Affinity. And Affinity pretty much does the same exact thing that Adobe does. The only place it has an advantage is that Affinity, the Adobe InDesign version, has an iPad version. Have I learned it? I have not. So I don't even know if it's useful. That's pretty much the only thing. And honestly, with Canva taking over, Canva bought Affinity, who knows if they'll even keep that product? We don't know what's going on with that company. I would say it's very not worth getting invested into Affinity right now that it's been bought for Canva, until they actually come out with a plan or do anything with that plan. So, and also I think if you just focus on one software instead of trying to learn them all, I think you'll be much better off. And so my hope is for this year to create an advanced InDesign course. I've been talking about it. I've never done it because then I was trying to learn Canva. I was trying to learn Affinity. I was trying to learn like all these other different things. I'm just sticking with Adobe as like my main like home base for technology. So anyways, that's what I'm doing. I'm going back to my original. I wouldn't say going backwards. I'm just like going back to the basics. Plus, I think it helps so people aren't as confused as like what you're doing and what you stand for. So what are we saying? Survey. This is so good for me because streamlining my goals to important ones, then when I feel accomplished when I actually complete them. Yeah, for sure. And then also my mind gets into trouble with setting these unattainable goals. Yeah, you get overwhelmed. And then like, I honestly think you just feel bad about yourself, and you're like, you know what? I'm just not going to look at that vision board because it's so ridiculous. And I feel like they're very materialistic. So most people's vision boards have like a yacht. They have a huge mansion, a cottage, not even a cottage, a mansion in the Swiss Alps, right? Like there always are a huge like private jetliner airline. And so like, is that your goal, just to have stuff? I don't think that's really like a helpful goal anyways. All right, so wish list. Again, I'm cutting things back again. Like I can't even tell you, it's I like how excited I am every time I get rid of something, because it brings me more clarity on the things I want to do. And it helps open the door for me to like have more capacity to do things, right? Like I totally forgot that I said I was going to do an advanced InDesign course until I changed my tagline back to what it was. So for learning, I did add in, so now that I've said that, I did add in Shopify. I saw there was another girl, God, I can't remember her name. It was another template store, and she had Shopify as, I think it just looked so much better. It seems so much more efficient. So I think like that is still the better way to go. And I did pay for that, hugely expensive, but totally worth it, Shopify courses. And I say courses, like multiple ones. So all the content is there just waiting for me. I just haven't done it yet. Klaviyo, I think Klaviyo, and again, I don't know because I haven't really like set it up yet. I still think Klaviyo is better. Although I did see someone just switching. I can't remember what she was on. I think from ConvertKit over to Drip, which is what I use. That's where your emails go out every week. So we'll see. I mean, Klaviyo is way more expensive than Flowdesk, which is only like, I think I paid $219 for the year. And then also for creating, I removed Deckable. So I'm not focusing on card decks anymore. And I said last month, I was like, I'm going to leave Deckable. I should really, Deckable, because I wanted to show a tutorial. But why should I waste like all these hours learning this ridiculously convoluted software to upload to this person who hasn't figured out a better solution to allow people to upload? So I think they need to change their software. I know that's kind of my attitude. And because I'm not focusing on card decks as much, I'm not going to bother. That's like totally off the list. Leaving everything on here, the active lifestyle. And my word of the month is grounding. And this is just going back to, I looked up the definition, just going back to a stable and fundamental starting point. So when I say back to basics, like my habit for the month, I've always said it's writing, right? And then before it was meal planning, all those different things. I'm just going to say it's my to-do list because I'm not making it through my to-do list every day. And I think if I can't make it through a to-do list every day, and then I don't want to make a to-do list the next day because I know I didn't make it through the to-do list the day before. This should be like my habit that I'm doing every day. And before you say, oh, I do make to-do lists, do you make a to-do list every day? I know that my journaling has fallen by the wayside because it wasn't on my to-do list, and I don't like stop to take time to do it. And I'm not really planning anything out. So I think having a to-do list just helps reduce all that mental clutter because you're like, I'm always trying to remember to do stuff. Sometimes I'll put little reminders in my calendar, but it would be so much better if I just had a checklist for the day to get done. And honestly, I feel better every time I check things off. I'd also encourage you, and now these are stats from 2014. So I realized that they're a decade old. This is from Entrepreneur Magazine. And they had compared the habits of wealthy people, so someone who makes, I think it says 160,000, versus what they called poor people, which is someone who makes under 30,000 US dollars per year. And just a couple things stood out to me. The number one at the top list was a to-do list. So the wealthy, you can see 81% of them do a to-do list. So I'm falling into a poor habit where I'm not making a to-do list. So that was like confirmation to me, like I should make a to-do list. Other things that were interesting on here, well, the exercise, I do exercise, but junk food calories, and then the TV. So you'll see the big disconnect on the bottom. So on the left, it says how many hours, if you watch 1 hour less every day of TV, that is the white area, the wealthy. And then the poor actually watch more than an hour every day. And same thing with the reality TV. So that big chunk right there, it's saying the poor spend 75% of their time when they're watching TV, watching reality TV. Luckily, I've always hated reality TV, even like back in the 80s or 90s when they had America's Funniest Home Videos. I did not like those at all. So I'm not sure. It's really weird because I do love YouTube. So it would be interesting to see if that's like, is that a form of reality TV? I don't think so. I think that's just more like, I like seeing updates. Who knows? And then over on the left, waking up 3 hours before work, something, again, it said 44% of the wealthy do. I do wake up 3 hours, but not at 5 a.m., mostly because, one, I don't have children, so I don't have to wake up. I hear that from a lot of people who are like, I have to wake up before the kids. And two, I work for myself, so I'm able to make my own schedule. Listen to audiobooks during their commute. So that was interesting because I don't know if it means nonfiction or fiction, and then read books. I just love reading books, but that might just be because I'm an author. So I just wanted to put this up here, one, to just give you some ideas on things that you can stop doing. Because also doing habits don't always have to be like, you don't have to keep piling things on. You can take things away. So I, for the last 30 days, have not had a single latte. It's been really hard. I love them so much that during my photo shoots, I always have a picture of me drinking a latte because one, they're pretty, but two, they're like relaxing. And it's almost like, so I haven't had alcohol in like 20 years, which is a totally different story. But the lattes kind of take that, they're like my relaxing thing. I know a lot of people are like, oh, when I come home from a hard day, I want to pour myself a glass of wine. It's so relaxing. And I feel the same way about a latte. Like when I go to do some work or I want to read or do some writing, it's like relaxing for me to get a latte, like have a sip, breathe it in, and it almost like helps set the mood. So going 30 days without a latte was hard. The week Molly was here, it was really easy because she's Mormon and she follows the rule that you can't have any latte or any caffeine. So that was a lot easier when you have somebody around who doesn't do it. But yeah, otherwise, during the rest of the month, every time I walk by a coffee shop, I did kind of feel like that sense of longing. It did get easier as the month went on, and I'm going to try to stay caffeine free for the rest of the year. We'll see how that goes. But I definitely think I'm sleeping better at night. It could just be like I'm making it up, but I don't know. So, oh wait, we have some comments. Survey, so excited for an advanced InDesign course. Oh, good. I use your InDesign training for ideas when using Affinity. That's funny. All right. Yeah, so this is my 3-hour morning block. Like even this morning for 3 hours, like I have breakfast, I like sit down, hang out, I go to the gym, lift weights, take a shower, have breakfast, and then, I know, 2 breakfasts, mostly because I eat something small before, like fruit before the gym. But yeah, I like just finished up breakfast and came here to hang out with you. Let's talk about May. So anchor dates. There's a couple things going on. My friend Camila is coming to visit next month. Yay, I'm so excited. She's only coming for like 2 days. She's like really into quick trips. May 7th, next Tuesday, is the May Apple event, which I'm not sure if you're like one of those Apple followers, but I definitely am. And they didn't have a spring event. And then all of a sudden they just sent out this email saying they were going to have an Apple event this month. So I think it's going to be about the iPad. Canva's having an event this month too. I will have a new pop-up. So all the 2025 planners, I'll get those up by the end of this week. And then we will have, I promise, a new pop-up shop planner for May and for June and July and going forward. So now that I have more free time, I freed up some of my like extra brain space and the things I'm working on, I'm going to go back to monthly pop-up shop planners, which was always the goal anyway, 1 template per month. Apple, so I think this is going to be about the iPad. There's been no confirmation, but this is the graphic that they sent out. So I feel like fairly confident it is going to be about the iPad or the Apple Pencil. And I think that's important if you make digital planners for a couple of reasons. One, I think more people can afford iPads. I think the talk is that they're going to come out with some more affordable versions, which right now I think the most affordable version is the iPad Air, which is for like children. And so hopefully it'll have all the bells and whistles and do everything that an iPad Pro can do. And then who knows, maybe the Apple Pencil will change because I like can't stand the Apple Pencil like as it is. I did buy, I had a video on my Instagram where I did buy a new tip and that made a huge difference. But the pencil, it's just kind of thick. The pen for the Samsung tablet is far superior. However, the applications on the Samsung tablet are far inferior. So I'm kind of sad that Apple Pencil isn't just better. But that is not for a week, and probably for you, it's probably not a big deal, but I'm trying to forget about it until May 7th because really all this speculation is not going to do anything for you. You might as well wait. Also, it'll be interesting to see if they change the size because right now all the iPads I've made work for the dimensions of the current iPad setup. So if you see my video on how to open an iPad or how to open your digital planner on a Samsung, Android tablet, you'll see because I have the ultra wide. So the Apple iPad, the biggest one is like 12.9 inches. My Samsung tablet is way bigger. It's like 14 inches. And so it just looks different. It's not distorted, but there's like some black lines at the top and the bottom because it's just a bigger iPad. So we'll see if iPad changes their dimensions it might change the way digital planners look, or we might need to change the dimensions on all of the planners. So we'll see. Canva Create, again, Brenda did allude to the fact that it's going to possibly change. She's like, oh, I'll have to redo all my training, which she has training only on how to organize things by file folders. Absolutely nothing else. She doesn't teach any design. But in the past, I don't know if anyone remembers, was it last year or the year before? I think it was like 2 years before. Canva came out and they had this big show, which you can see here, all that like confetti. And that was in Australia, their hometown or whatever. And they said they were going to make all these changes, mostly AI, Canva templates, and then nothing happened. They like didn't roll out any of these changes to anyone. And then for months people were like, I don't get, do you have this? I heard someone else has it. I don't have this. So I would say don't get excited. I think it's going to be a incredibly slow rollout. I don't know why they roll it out in phases. But I don't think the change will be the next day. So now if you are used to using Adobe products, Adobe Max every year, they will make changes to the software, and they'll actually come out with updates to the software a couple days before the conference, so everybody has them and can follow along during the conference. Canva does it backwards. They just announce things that they're going to change, and then maybe, who knows, 6 months, a year, maybe never, they make updates to the software and they never tell you. It's like a hidden, maybe it's there, maybe it's not kind of thing. So I would say don't get too excited, because all the changes they announce in May possibly won't even be rolled out till the fall, or possibly never, because some of those changes they announced before never got rolled out. Again, you might, hopefully, fingers crossed, they give people an update, because I know a lot of people use Affinity. They really like it. They were all excited because it's a one-time fee. Hopefully they make some announcements about Affinity, but I doubt it. At the conference, I think it'll just be mostly about the Canva platform, but who knows? We'll see. If you are in one of these small towns in Bristol, England, Salt Lake City, Utah, Adobe is doing what's called Adobe Create Now. These are, it looks to be like just these informal get-togethers where they talk about the product and you get to meet other creators locally in a networking kind of environment. So if you look at any of these, they all seem to be taking place in the evening from like 7 to 9:30 somewhere. So this could just be a great opportunity to meet other creative entrepreneurs. Canva versus Adobe. So if you needed a breakdown on why I decided to go with Adobe instead of Canva, because there are things I really like about Canva. I love that, when Molly and I were doing our promotional materials for the writing retreat, we used Canva. Even though we're both hardcore Adobe designers, it was difficult for us to pass files back and forth, especially with version control and just tracking. Every time you try to do any version control tracking in email, it just gets lost because your email inbox is flooded with a ton of stuff. So I think for that reason, I really just love Canva, and it's web-based, so you don't have to worry about downloading something to a computer. Now, they do have a web-based version of Photoshop. It's not very good, in my opinion. And it can't do everything Photoshop can do anyway. So, I mean, it's nice to have it as an option, but I pretty much only ever use the software that downloads onto your computer. Canva has awful communication. So I have all these Canva affiliate links, which don't even matter. They sent an email, I think it was last year in June, and they were like, hey, you don't meet the criteria for our affiliate program. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I meet all of the criteria for your affiliate program. And I wrote them probably 10, 12 different times. Still to this day, I have not heard back from them. And I talked to Brenda about that, and she was like, yeah, they're really bad about communicating with people. And so that's another reason I just didn't want to like bank everything on Canva. The other thing too is there are a lot of templates that I wasn't able to make in Canva. And for that reason alone, it doesn't make any sense to switch over to a platform that has so many unclear guidelines. Like you're not sure how many pages you can put in a document because they don't tell you. You don't know how many elements you can put in there because they don't tell you that either. You don't even, and they also say like when you sign up, so I have a pro account, I'm guessing like a gigabyte of storage, but they have never told me how much storage I have used up so far. So I have no indication of kind of like what's going on behind the scenes. So for that reason alone, like just the lack of I don't even know if it's a lack of transparency. I think it's just an overall inability or non-desire to do any sort of customer service. And Adobe is the total opposite when it comes to customer service. And yes, I do realize that I am old school and I like being able to talk to somebody. And I also like being able to screen share. And I don't think it's just me, because Apple does an excellent job too. When you call them in for technical assistance, they will screen share with you and like look at everything that you're doing. And Adobe has more functionality, they're more advanced features, and they have a better partner program. And the only thing that I would say that they don't do well is their storage. So for some reason, the storage on Adobe is 100 megabytes. And that's for my member. So I pay $79 a month for Adobe Creative Cloud, which is the monthly membership plus the Adobe stock images. So two things. One, they do a terrible job of communicating to you that your stock images have expired. So for the last year and a half that I've been doing that other corporate day job, I really haven't utilized a lot or any Adobe stock images. So you're paying this amount every month to have a certain number of credits to use of Adobe stock. Well, at one point I had like 280 credits because I just hadn't downloaded them. And then all of a sudden I opened it the next day and it said you have 10 credits. And I was like, what is going on? So I called them because I thought like maybe something was wrong or there was like a calculation error. And they were like, yeah, we just didn't, your credits expire every year or every month, or I don't know, something like they're rolling every 6 months or something. You have to use them. And I was like, yeah, nobody told me that. And like, there's nothing to tell me like which credits are expiring within what period. So that is something terrible that they do. And also I tried using the Adobe Cloud storage service and I ran out after like a week because it's only 100 megabytes. So those are basically the main differences, I think, between the two. And yes, I still use Canva every day. And I use Adobe every day, but I use them for different things. So Canva for the collaborations, and sometimes it's just easier because I switch from my laptop to my desktop to get different files. So even like collaborating with myself, sometimes it's just easier to do that because the Adobe files are pretty big. So what's going on in May? Like I said, Monday Motivation is back. So we're going to do weekly planning every week. And hopefully I will not talk over an hour like I'm doing today. So I will try to wrap this up. And here's your May calendar of everything going on. I know, the May 4th, Star Wars Day, and your checklist for the month. I know, lots of talking. Let me know if you guys have any questions, any comments, any thoughts, and hopefully everyone is excited, having a great start to their month, and hopefully the weather wherever you are at is wonderful and pleasant and not too hot and not too cold. All right, I will talk to everybody on Monday. Bye.